Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, who never gets to, and I mean this, probably ever enjoy more than a half a day or a day or two of vacation. And he didn't again, as he was a part of the negotiations with the 4 incoming schools, Colorado the week before, then last week we know Utah, Arizona, Arizona State. Mack, how much leeway or how much of a rope did Brett Yormark and the conference give you to talk to Utah and others that maybe weren't real sure what they wanted to do?
You know, Brett, Commissioner Yormark has been great to me. And, you know, for whatever reasons, you know, from the very beginning, you know, we connected, and I'm grateful for, you know, the trust and the opportunity that, you know, he's given me to be part of it and to help. And so, you know, I take it, you know, obviously seriously, and, you know, want what's best for the Big 12, and, you know, what's best for the Big 12, you know, is best for Baylor. And, you know, I want Baylor to be positioned, in a really healthy conference at the highest level for years and years to come. You know, well beyond when I'm done doing this. And so, yeah, he gave me a lot of leeway, and gave me the opportunity to be a part of it. So grateful for the opportunity. Grateful for him.
Mack, you're one of the schools, obviously Arizona, your alma mater, bringing it in. You know a lot about them culturally, fit-wise. How do you think that they will kind of hit the ground running along with the others? I know there was some kicking and screaming a little bit because nobody wanted the Pac to go away on their end. But when the decision had to be made, do you feel like they have the runway to go and that you feel to be comfortable?
Yeah, I do. You know, I think, you know, there's some truth to, you know, some of the media reports where, you know, Arizona was probably out front, ahead of the other 3, and certainly behind, you know, Colorado. But, you know, I think from the very beginning, you know, President Robbins really felt like and truly believed it that University of Arizona was you know, a really good culture, culturally fit the Big 12, and so I think they'll be ready and enter seamlessly, and you know, I appreciated, you know, all 3 institutions because, you know, they were loyal to the Pac-12 up to the very, very end. And, you know, I always say this and talk to this about with our young administrators, you know, with your coaches, with your head coaches, you know, you stay loyal to them and support them, you know, 100%, everything you've got until the very moment that you can. And so, you know, I appreciated their loyalty to the Pac-12, and you didn't ask this, but you know, Friday certainly, you know, an exciting day for the Big 12, but I also thought it was a really sobering day for college athletics, and you know, be really humble, because that could be you. And you know, 2 years ago, it could have been Baylor, and or anybody else that was left out. And again, I've got great respect and admiration for Scott Barnes at Oregon State, Pat Chun at Washington State, Jim Knowlton at UC Berkeley, and Bernard Muir at Stanford. I know them all well, and you know, I feel for them. They're in a really, really tough spot, and so I do hate it for them.
Mack, I mean, it's survival of the fittest, as you said. If it wasn't them, it could have been you guys just a couple of years ago. I don't think it was any secret in some form or fashion. It's been out in the media for like a year that these were schools that the Big 12, coveted and wanted to have in the fold. And, Colorado was one domino, but to have the other three drop last week, I know, like you said, it's bittersweet, but just knowing all of the work and all of the twists and turns in this thing, to know that the Big 12 is now welcoming in all four corner schools, what does that mean? What does that say? And how does that feel?
Yeah, it's Craig, it's surreal. When you're in the moment and, you're locked in and, all of your energy is going toward that one goal and you're trying to make it happen, right? I don't know that you necessarily handicap it, and you certainly don't give yourself much time to, what if this doesn't happen? But after you get it across the finish line, you're just like, wow, like that was somewhat unexpected to be able to get, all four, and, certainly, Colorado, began that process, was the first domino. And I'll just say this publicly, gave me probably even more respect for, Rick George and the university administration. They made this decision without seeing any numbers and potential, Pac-12 media partner, deals, offers. They decided and raised their hand and said, hey, we just believe, in the vision and where this was headed. And so give them a lot of certain respect, and they had a lot of courage to be the first. And, but to be able to end up with four and now, when you think about where the Big 12's come from just 2 years ago when Oklahoma and Texas decide to leave, and to think about it now that in a year, right, we're going to be at 16 and we'll be a really, really strong, Power 5 conference that I think has an even better future since last Friday. And so it's hard to believe that we've gotten here, and it's also, cool to be part of.
Is the Big 12 done expanding anytime in the near future?
If I have anything to say about it, we are. I'm going on vacation. I think, we'll always look at potential, additions. I would just say, probably the dollars in the media market right now, they're probably tapped out. I don't know in terms of expansion and adding additional teams to any of the conferences. It's been well chronicled, documented that this is, probably in the last 10 years, one of the toughest media markets that we're in. And, just don't know right now who steps up and puts more money towards revenue distribution, in a conference for TV and, ESPN and Fox, certainly great partners and grateful to them. But I just don't know that there's a lot of room right now for more expansion. And sure enough, the minute I say that, right, tomorrow there'll be breaking news. But I do think that's a reality in terms of where the market is.
So the incoming four schools are guaranteed a full share, correct?
Yeah, they will be, and they'll be a full share member. And again, as we think about future stuff, in the next probably 3 months, I probably need to reframe. There could be, I don't think, necessarily with with the Big 12 when we think about, football members. But there could be elsewhere where it wouldn't be full share membership. But the fourth coming in, all 16 of us will be created equal in terms of conference, revenue distribution, and we certainly think that's the right model for us. And I know that was really important to all of our members. Not just the four coming in, not just the four that we recently added, but even the original 8. Just we all think that's the best for us to have cohesion and unity moving forward.
So with the prorata that ESPN had agreed to, Fox, that was not in their contract. Did they agree to the new 4 that they would do the prorata on what they were already contributing? And is that how you got to the number, or is any of that money from Texas and Oklahoma in the exit fees?
Yeah, so, Fox, as you mentioned, wasn't contractually obligated. I'm going to be careful because I don't want to, share things that I'm not supposed to, but Fox did their part, and we, the 12 of us, came up with a formula that we were all very, very comfortable with, and made sense moving forward for a 16-member league.
Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, with us on 365 Sports.
Mack, with all this, Greg Sankey was just on Feinbaum, and of course I'm just reading that on Twitter about, that they need to relook at, how the playoff is selected with one of the Autonomy 5 conferences essentially going away and all these things. Is this the time that maybe everybody needs to get together and restructure the leadership of college football? Because this is getting really big, really fast, and everybody's kind of having to make reactionary decisions as opposed to proactive decisions.
Yeah, so, I certainly agree with Commissioner Sankey. I mean, the CFP, the commissioners are going to have to get together and figure this out right. And, so we don't know the future of the Pac-12 right now and what happens. And, it's is there a pathway, any pathway for them to, remain, Power 5 and, their share of the CFP. So that remains to be seen. You think about, what is it, the 6 highest seeds, does that need to be readjusted? And so, Paul, your question of, leadership of football, I think that's all on the table right now, to be talked about and certainly thought about. And, Bill Hancock, retiring and all of that. So you throw all of that into the mixing bowl, and I think it's all part of the conversation here in the very, very near future.
Mack, I just want to make sure that I heard you correctly for clarity when talking, because you know how things can spiral. But right now, not a lot of money out there in the media market for any potential, football type additions. But I thought you did say that down the line, a non-football thing, there's potential there that wouldn't include full membership. Did I hear that correctly?
Oh, I didn't. I don't think I said that's where we're headed.
No,
I certainly didn't back myself into a corner and eliminate that possibility. But we've talked about on this show the value of basketball and thinking about the future, and it's been talked about publicly. Do we ever get to a point in time where we bifurcate these contracts and shop football separately from men's basketball and or shop men's basketball separately from football and all of that? So, I want to be careful,
sure,
because I want to make sure that I'm being genuine and being real with you all. Do I expect that to happen? A basketball member or a half share. I just probably not right now, but I'm not going to say that it's impossible and that it couldn't happen.
Is everybody that's incoming among the four, do you feel like they're all on the same page in a group of 12 that's now a part of the future Big 12? I know Texas OU for another year. Everyone seems to be kind of like joined at the hip. Are all four of the incoming schools, do you feel like they have that mentality?
I do. I mean, I think there's been some comments, if that's what you're alluding to, and probably documented maybe one school more than the other that seemed more reluctant or, has maybe made some comments publicly. But, just talking to those individuals, the athletic director and the conversations with the president, right? I truly believe that they're all in, that they're excited. This is going to be a great new chapter for them. I think their fan bases are extremely excited. All four of those institutions. We'll see what happens with football scheduling and whether or not one particular school plays in Morgantown. It's first year in the conference. If I'm betting, probably they will, but who knows?
That's great. Do you think that the conference would have failed had they not added any of the four schools that are about to join you? Not fail, but would it have been a disappointment had you not expanded?
Yeah. So, I think, again, just being real candid is, we talked about it on the show, and I was always really careful to say that, hey, if we don't get, a Colorado, or we don't get a couple, or even all four, this is a great conference, and we added the right four, and we've got a bright future. And when I said all of those things, I absolutely believe every one of those things, and I still do. But if we wouldn't have been able to add a Colorado and then probably a second Power Five, I know personally, I'll speak on behalf of myself, I would have been extremely disappointed. In fact, the only way I wouldn't have been disappointed is if we wouldn't have gotten all four. Mm-hmm. And that's just me and my mentality. And, I don't want a piece of the cake. I want the whole cake. And again, we were, we were fortunate. The Big 12 was fortunate in terms of the way it turned out.
Mack, the Big Ten released their schedule for next year already, and now they have to go right back to the drawing board. Was there any intentionality in not doing that yet for what was going to be a 12-team league that is now a 16-team league, knowing that this was a possibility and you would just have to do all that work again?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, we weren't counting on, increasing membership, but we weren't in a hurry to go and try to get that done with a 12-team model. Just knowing that, there was a possibility of adding to membership.
Mack, final thing for me. It seems like it would be a time to celebrate after all the hard work and the months and months and months that have been built into bringing these schools in. But because of all of the after effects and the aftershocks, whatever you want to call it, are you as a group as on your toes as ever, on your P's and Q's as ever before, and ensuring that there's not a comfortable letdown after accomplishing this latest goal?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think we're taking anything for granted. I think we're gonna, continue to be on our toes in an athletic stance, ready to move. you know, we also felt like, you know, and I alluded to it early. This wasn't a time to go spike the ball in the end zone because there are, you know, some folks that you know, just are in a tough spot. But you know, you always have to be moving forward, and if you're not, then you're moving backwards. There's no standing still, and so I think we all know that and recognize it. Do I feel better about the Big 12 and its long-term future? Absolutely. It's the best I've felt about it since, you know, I've been at Baylor. But you know, again, we need to continue to build. You know, this league, whether, you know, it stays at 16 or someday, you know, in the future it grows more, but we need to continue to build it into the very best conference it possibly can be.
So how quickly do you find a replacement perhaps for Utah? I guess since you're supposed to play them here, not only this year, but you're supposed to play them next year. Oregon down the road. I don't know if that's affected by their move to the Big Ten, but do you now have to find a non-conference game for the second time the game at Utah?
Yeah, I already called Dave and I joked about it. I'm going to petition that we could play an FCS because there's just no other Power Fives available. I think he liked it. I actually I had a fan that you know, was certainly congratulatory about adding the teams, but did have to mention that we've now ruined his trip to Salt Lake City in 2024.
Absolutely, yeah, unless it's a conference game. I don't know. So with what Brett Yormark's done, the Big 12 has done, and all of the in-between, he has built up an amazing amount of equity. How much of that do you want to make sure he protects as decisions are made going forward?
All of it. You know, I think, you know, he's built up a tremendous amount of respect and you know, I want to make sure that, you know, not that he needs my help or he needs me to be worried about it or looking out for him. But, you know, I do care tremendously about him and so, and he's a pro and he'll be very thoughtful and careful as we move forward, just like he's been throughout this entire process.
Mack, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. You juggling watching practice and also what's happened over the last couple of weeks, if not for a long, long time. We do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You have a great evening.
Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics.